Hello there guys, and welcome back to yet another one with us, the Review Bros. My name's Aaron and you're joined today for this review of a product we all know, and that is HYDE XTREME. Just how potent is this stuff when we go through the usuals, the taste, price, label and effects? How is it going to come together in the real world? Now we know the original HYDE back in the day was laced with DMAA and it was a potent pre-workout. Have they let themselves go over the years? Everyone seems to know this name. If you don't, then you've been living under a rock when it concerns pre-workouts. We're going to keep it 100% honest anyhow, guys. Let's get into this one. But if you're new here, please do subscribe, like the video and drop your thoughts on it below in the comments. It does help. Let's crack on with this one. We have the guys over at Top Form Trade EU to thank for sending them this one down to us. They're actually a distribution service, guys, so they're not going to sell directly to the consumer, but they will sell to the retailers around the EU. They bring in the USA stock. They also stock EU products as well that can be sold directly to the retailer and then on to you. So they do it in the mass. But we've got them to thank for sending this one down. They did also send us this one, the Stimulate Hardcore. So we will get into a review on this one too. But yeah, let's see how this one's going to perform. The first segment we move into in these reviews is that taste and mixability factor. How's it going to do in the performance of this one? So we've got the flavour here. Watermelon Rush. Now I'm going to chuck the others in the text below now if you can see exactly what there is. There's a few different options, which is always good. Now, we're not the biggest watermelon fans on the channel, but we've had some good watermelons. We keep an open mind when it concerns that, so then we know what, effectively a good watermelon is versus a bad one. So we're looking at actually only a tiny scooper here, a 7.4 gram one, which is coming on half of an average scoop these days. In she goes. Let's see how this one mixes. I imagine pretty well, considering it is such a small scoop. In it is. Got a little bit of frothing, almost nothing at all there. We do have on the bottom, it's mixed well. It has mixed well. There's not a lot there at all, if you guys can see that. So, watermelon. Never been a big fan, but let's try it. Yeah, it's not the best at all. Not the best watermelon. It's not so bad that it's undoable by any stretch of the imagination. It's sweet. It's got a funny taste to it though. Don't really know how to put my finger on it. It's almost like a soured watermelon, like a watermelon that's a bit too old. Honestly, what would I give it? I'd give it a 6 out of 10. It's not, like I say here, it is doable. It's just not enjoyable, and it's definitely got a funny taste to it. I just can't put my finger on what. It's, like I mentioned, probably an out-of-date watermelon. That's the nearest I can get to, guys. Let's move into the price. So we're into that pricing time. How much is this going to set us back? Now, firstly and foremost, it comes in a generous 30 full servings. So that's a thumbs up. It does mean you're going to get at least a month's worth of training from it, should you even use it on the everyday basis. Now, it would cost you over at discount supplements just $21.99 for a container of this stuff. And when you do the math, you divide that up by that $21.99, it will come in at just 73 pence per the go. Now, we put out a consistent pricing scale when it concerns the prices of this, and it compares them all on an even playing field. I would say 5 out of 10 is bang average for a pre-workout costing. This one falls in very nicely at an 8.5 out of 10. So it actually is a lot cheaper than an average product. But what's it contain? How does it do in the effects? That's where we can start determining whether it's worth that 8.5 out of 10 or not. Let's get into the next bit. into the label, guys. What we're getting for that money, is it worth the while? So as I mentioned at the beginning, it's only a 7.4 gram scoop, which is pretty light in the grand scheme of pre-workouts. I'd say the average is about 12 to 15 grams average. So this is below that. Obviously, let's start off with the strength matrix, which is a compromisation of 4.5 grams of active material. We've got beta alanine at 2.5 grams, which is 700 milligrams shy of that clinical 3.2. Is that going to make much difference? I would like to think no, not overall. It comes with that beta tingle, the itchy tingling feeling as it kicks in. And once you've used it for a long enough period of time, it's going to help with endurance in the gym. We've got creatine HCl up next at a gram. So that is responsible for strength, power output, endurance, muscular recovery, and the like. And it's actually not that bad of a dose when you think about it. 1.5 grams of creatine HCl is that clinical dose. So obviously we'd like to a little bit more, but it's not too shocking. If that had been creatine monohydrate, I'd be scoffing right now. We've got arginine, silicate inositol, which is nitrosamine, trademarked ingredient actually, but at what I'd say a third of the dose we would like to see. Now the arginine stays in the bloodstream longer, helping produce nitric oxide, helping therefore with pumps and blood flow, nutrient delivery, vasodilation. So yeah, the pump in the gym is what we're going to be getting from that. And we've got L-citrulline aspartate at 500 milligrams, which is a low dose, but it's going to do similar things to the nitrosamine there. Again, helping your body produce the nitric oxide within the blood, pumps. And then we move into the intensity matrix. I'm not too sure how they come to this with some of the ingredients in here. I've always found that when they name these things, the ingredients can kind of slip and slide in between the different categories. We've got choline bitartrate up next at 500 milligrams, which is a poor form of choline in absolute honesty, and I'd like to have seen it at least a gram for focus and concentration. Up next, we do have the ingredient L-theanine at just a low dose of 50 milligrams, which is, in our honest opinion, probably a thumbs up, simply because L-theanine tapers down the caffeine. It sort of suppresses the stimulants that can come with jitters and a crash. L-theanine is supposed to be a nootropic that helps you calmly get through it all, focus, and help without the crash at the end. And 50 milligrams won't be so much that it actually suppresses the stimulants too much. We then move on to N-acetyl L-tyrosine at 50 milligrams. Now, this is probably the most laughable dosage of the label. We would like to have seen that at least 1,000 milligrams for any effect, and that is for the focus and concentration. At 50 milligrams, I'm sorry, that's not going to do jack. We got teacrine at 25 milligrams. Again, a poor dose. Teacrine is a type of stimulant that gives you energy. Quite obviously, it works with caffeine, and it's a longer lasting sensation of energy. It doesn't necessarily raise blood pressure or heart rate, but it does give an energy sense, and 25 milligrams, I'm not too sure what you're going to get from that. We then have GABA. I'm not too sure why this is in the intensity matrix, and this is exactly where I mentioned about conflicting things when it concerns naming the actual complexes there. Now, GABA is in sleep aids. It really is. I'm assuming they're using it in here, kind of like L-theanine, in that it tapers off, helps with anti-anxiety feelings, and just gives you a serene, calm feeling to the workout. Not too sure how that's going to work. 25 milligrams is not a big dose anyhow. And we've got your yohimbine bark at 3 milligrams, which is a fat burner that comes with obviously some stimulation from metabolizing the fat cells within the body. Not to be confused with alpha yohimbine that can come with the sweats, dribbles, a lot stronger than yohimbine bark. We then go into the caffeine matrix. We've got 378 milligrams of caffeine total here, guys, which is not to be sniffed at. That's more than an average pre-workout when it concerns caffeine. And that, in honesty, looking at the label, might be the thing that actually carries this through. We have caffeine anhydrous at 300, which is about 3 cups worth of coffee. Couple of energy drinks, or one of the stronger ones, for energy, drive, stimulation. We got decaffeine malate at 70 milligrams, which is a slower digesting form of caffeine. It's going to help with crash at the end. Once the normal caffeine started to wear out, this will digest and start working. And we've got caffeine citric acid blend, which is simply more of it. It's a slightly faster digesting form of caffeine. So it's nice to see 3 different types of caffeine here. That being said, there's not a lot else in here for stimulation. That's the truth. So let's see. Looking at the label, it's pretty poor, like 4 out of 10 score maybe. Into the effects, guys, of this product. Now, I'm going to keep it short, sweet, precise, concise, and, you know, transparent for you guys at home. Now, we're always honest with our reviews, and this one is going to be no different at all. So, it's a beginner pre-workout. It's nothing more. It's not for anyone who takes training serious. They take their pre-workout supplements serious. It's very, very, very basic. And as expected, the caffeine dose is higher than an average pre-workout, and it really comes down to that carrying it through for you. In terms of energy, it's okay. That's its strongest suit. It's still just okay because there's not a lot else in here other than the caffeine. Some people, like I say, beginners, you'll probably think this is quite strong. You probably would, that's the truth. Anyone who's had any length of time using caffeine will know that 378 milligrams of caffeine, despite being higher than average, it's still not enough to justify itself being a strong pre-workout. It's just not. They need other bits and pieces to work alongside it to really give it any sort of boost. Now, it doesn't feel like any more than just a typical energy drink, you know, a C4, a Rain, a Bucked Up. It just doesn't feel like more than that. There's nothing in here really for focus. I know they've got a couple of bits, but they are very, very underdosed. And as such, I don't think they really do anything. The caffeine would probably give you more focus than the focus ingredients that are labelled in here. I didn't really feel focused. I still killed training. You know, that's what I'd go out to do. That's my goal. That's my aim. I could do that without pre-workout. This added on a little bit. It didn't take away from my training. There's no negatives as such with this. That Yahimbai bar doesn't come with any of the Alpha Yo sweats, chills, or anything like that, which part of me expected that to be something that would come through, but it didn't. You didn't get any of that. So there's no thermogenic sweat feels to this pre-workout either. It's just all on that caffeine dosage. Pumps, nothing from these really. Again, there's really not anything that's going to do it here. It's definitely a beginner level pre-workout. Now, there's strengths, weaknesses to it. At 73 pence a go, it's probably priced about right for what it is. You know, if you're at uni, you're tight on money, you want a basic pre-workout, this would tick that box at just that 73 pence a go. Could it have been a little bit cheaper? Probably could have been a little bit cheaper, but it's about right, maybe. 8.5 out of 10 on that pricing scale. It's not ripping you off. Should this have come in at that £1.50 mark, I'd be ripping it apart, like really ripping it apart. But it does enough to help your training. It does do that. There's no denying about that. It doesn't take away, and that's why it's not going to score super low. Pumps, focus, like I say, you're just not getting anything from this for that. It's a flavoured caffeine product. That's the nearest I can come to for an explanation without any negatives. So I probably would give it like a 4 out of 10, simply because it still does aid you in terms of a stimulatory point of view. The energy doesn't last that long. And something else actually I want to mention that I should have mentioned at the beginning, and that's that beta-alanine feel. That actually came in quite strong. That felt like 3.2 grams. So that's why it's still getting probably a point or two more than it would have done had it not have beta-alanine in there at all. So if you like that itchy, tingly feeling as the pre-workout kicks in, it does do it in this. And that gives everyone a sense of this is working, which for people who don't know that differently, that's where they might say this is a good pre-workout. Beginners, like people who really haven't had much choice on the market. These guys, Pro Supps, they've been around a long, long time. They're one of the most known pre-workout out there, simply because I think a lot of people can afford it. It's cheap. It's cheap as chips. It's cheerful. It does an okay job. I would like to have seen better. And what does bug me the most about this, if I'm not thinking about the price at all, is the word extreme. Like, what is it extreme at? Extremely good below average product. Extremely below average is probably what I would say. That's why I think 4 out of 10 is a generous score to it. I'm only giving that because of the beta-alanine and the caffeine. and the fact it does help training, but not to the level of the, you know, the more well-dosed products that are on the market. So to summarise, cheap product, basic results, probably about worth the price, but it's not a good product in the grand scheme of products out there on the market. So I would have liked to have seen better. The name pisses me off. It is what it is, guys. At 73 pence a go, I'm not too mad. It has an audience, young 15, 16, 17-year-olds that might be taking pre-workout that shouldn't because it's over 18s only. But you get what I'm saying. University students that just want a little top up. They don't want to be spending 30, 40, 50 pounds on products. That's where it's at. It's a beginner product for a beginner level that don't really care. They just want to feel a bit of beta alanine and a bit of caffeine for a cheap price. And that's where this falls in. So take it or leave it, guys. I've given it to you on the table. Pumps Focus probably like 1 or 2 out of 10. Energy was probably its best point at maybe a 5 out of 10, simply because of that higher caffeine dosage that crashed off quite a lot. Maybe because of the combination of GABA and L-theanine. Not too sure. It's not great. It's not great, but it does have an audience, and that's where we try and keep a very open mind. So yeah, let me know if you've tried it, what you think of it. Would you try it? Would you try anything else from Supps? We also took their HYDE Icon, which is actually the better product. I still didn't think it was great. We've reviewed it. Just type in Review Bros HYDE Icon and it'll come up as the review. It was a better, more well-dosed, more premium version of a pre-workout from the guys at Supps. So they can do better. They can. But that was more expensive. So, it's, you know, you've got to juggle these things up, guys. Appreciate you watching. Do subscribe to the channel. Do like this video. Do comment below. We appreciate you watching. And at this point, we say it, as always, stay stimmed. And in the form of only caffeine on this one. Let's see how it comes together in the real world. Let's see how it comes together in the real world. Let's see how it comes together in the real world, guys.